Fellow travelers, Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're in Helsinki, Finland on a beautiful summer day. And today we're going to talk about is knowing when to travel to certain destinations, because you know what? When you go can have a huge impact on how much you enjoy a destination, but also how much you spend at that destination. So I'm here in Helsinki and it's June, it's summertime. We've got a festival starting right over here. You're probably going to hear there's all kinds of great stuff going on because Finland is fantastic in the summer. You get to go out, you can go out, the sun is out until 11 o'clock at night. You can go and party, you can have the midsummers is awesome when you're here. I mean, you have so many great parties, Vapu, so much fun stuff in the summer when you're here. But if you come here in winter, oh my God, it's depressing. I used to live here, okay? November in Finland is like depression, horrible time because it's cold, it's wet, it's dark. I mean, we're talking 3:30 in the afternoon, the sun's already gone. It never really gets light, it just gets like dusky for a few hours. I mean, that gets kind of depressing and that can affect your trip, right? So you really want to kind of think about these things. And when I look at it, probably the big like weather differential where people can kind of trick the system and get 2 summers at a time is if you look at northern versus southern hemisphere. So if you're coming to northern hemisphere, yeah, summer, June, July, August, yeah, it's great weather time. But guess what? If you're going to Australia at that time, no, it's not nice then. You're going to, Brazil in June, July, August, you'll see people in winter coats. Now, you might not want to use winter coat when you're there at that time, but for them, it's cold. And so what you realize is, wait, if I would have 2 summers, I could do summers in the US in June and July, and then go have summer again in Brazil in December and January. Yes, because you have the flip seasons, so you can plan that accordingly. So the summers will be different, the winters will be different. I have friends that love skiing, and they actually go to New Zealand to go ski in July because that's when it's ski season there. So think about these things when you're there, just looking at choosing when you go to these places. That's why I tell people, look, you're not going to go to Antarctica in the US summer because you don't go in June, July. Those Antarctica trips, those are December, January, maybe February. That's when you're going to Antarctica. So be aware of that, just the flip of the season side of it. Because I know Jocelyn's dream is just to have a year without winter, and not because of some crazy, weather phenomenon, just that we go to Brazil for, Christmas, and then she gets to have, beach twice that year, okay? Now, another thing I think is important to talk about when we're looking at when is the weather patterns, okay? Because there's some places that have rainy season, okay? And some places have dry season. That's gonna have a big impact. I've seen a number of travel vloggers that have gone to the Philippines when it's cheap. They go when it's cheap, when it's rainy season, they're like, it's raining all the time. Like, yeah, you went during rainy season. Look, if you're gonna go to Southeast Asia, you're gonna go to the Philippines, you really need to know, when is the rainy season? When do I wanna avoid that, okay? For example, places like in Central America, you're looking at Costa Rica. Nobody goes to Costa Rica in October. Like the workers are like, look, tourism doesn't happen in October because it's just raining, okay? So you wanna check those things out. That's why it's important when you see, wow, it's really cheap to fly there versus normal prices. Why is that? Make sure you're checking what season that is because it can have a really big impact if it's the wet season, okay? So do be careful. And I think another thing is important, if you're looking at different prices, you have different seasons. You have the peak season, usually it's like the Christmas holidays, and then the summer, okay? For example, Europe and the US, those are peak seasons. Then you have low season when people really aren't traveling. Those are usually the worst weather times. So that would be rainy season. That would be like January, February coming to Europe or the US. Like those are like really the dead parts because it's bad weather, people don't want to go. And then you have the best time that I think to travel, and that is shoulder season. You're looking April, May, September, maybe early October. Europe is fantastic at that time because all the kids are in school, so you got very few family travelers out here. People are kind of back into their usual work grind, yeah, so that there's less people out there, less lines. But what's cool is that you still have a lot of the stuff open. The museums are open. You can still eat outside the cafes because they haven't put things away yet. And so you get to have the real tourism experience with decent weather. It's not summer weather, but it's almost summer weather without the crowds. And what's even better is you get lower prices for hotels and flights, okay? We always take a end of September, early October trip to Europe, and we'll pay between $450 to $600 for a flight to Europe, whereas if we go in the summer, you're looking at anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 for a ticket. Well, that's half the price, yeah. So I can take all 4 of us for the price of 2 of us in the summer, right? So think about that, and especially if you don't have kids, I tell my students this all the time, never travel during the summer when you're young or you don't have kids because why are you spending all that extra money? Go enjoy where you live because where you live is nice in the summer. Go travel the shoulder seasons because your money goes a lot farther. And another thing I think about when you travel is also think about what's going on at certain times of the year. For example, going to see the Christmas markets in Germany and Austria are fantastic, and that when is the 4 weekends of Advent. And the thing is, in Germany, a lot of the Christmas markets actually close up on the 23rd of December, and then they're gone. Like some of the big cities, their Christmas markets will go through New Year's, but if you like little small towns like Bamberg or Rothenburg goes a little longer, but like Bamberg or Regensburg or something, it just like 23rd, boom, we're done, bye. Harz Mountains is fantastic, the Christmas markets, 23rd, we're done, bye. So you got to really kind of look at those wins of what you want to enjoy. But also if you're looking at certain festivals, New Orleans for Mardi Gras is a fantastic time. The prices go insane high, but it's an insane good time, right? So you got to plan ahead with those. You know, I mean, I've been to Carnival in Venice, which is incredible, and Carnival in Brazil as well, and Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and they're all fantastic times, but it's always that, you know, usually a week in February where you have all the fun. So you might see that there's some place that you might not think about going, but then you see all the festivals that are going, you're like, wow, this is actually really cool. Like, I'm taking a train in 1 hour to Turku because Turku has Ruisrock, which is a music festival in the summertime that's fantastic to go to. And so that's why I'm going to go. So make sure, if you're thinking about destinations, look and see, are there any festivals going on, any events going on? Because that can make your trip even better when you go there, but also could make it more expensive. For example, the Champions League final was held in Paris, you know, in the past, and all the hotels got booked out in Paris, and so it got insane expensive to stay there at that time. So you do have to have a heads up. So that's why I think it's really important to consider when you're going to travel in terms of where you should go. All right, so tell us some of your stories about crazy weather and crazy things that happen on your trips in the comments below so we can see other people's interesting and fun adventures traveling different places of the world in different times of the world. Yeah, that sounds about right. Moi moi from here in Helsinki. That's bye-bye in Finnish.